Rockwell
Hey.
Podcast. Hold on. Rockwell Podcast. Rockwell Podcast. Let me do the intro, Deanna. Okay. Rockwell Podcast, episode 50 something. We have a very special guest. I'm a fan of her. She's a hilarious actress. I think of her as a comedian. We're going to get into that. We'll see what she's doing with that. She has a YouTube channel. She has her own web series. She's starring in another series. She has a bunch of shit we're going to talk about. Let's make some noise for Deanna Pack one time.
Hey, thank you.
How you doing, Deanna?
I love your backdrop, by the way.
Thank you. It looks virtual, and sometimes it looks tacky, but sometimes it doesn't. If I wear like different colors, and I dressed up for you, Deanna.
Oh, sometimes
I wore
it doesn't.
a dress shirt for you, and this is the first time ever I wore a dress shirt. Is because I started thinking like, man, I'm wearing like the same clothes because I'm at home, and I was like,
right.
Yeah, but I feel like people are gonna judge me because if I wear the same shit in a lot of episodes.
Yeah,
So.
people do that. Like you're on YouTube or whatever. You're like, oh, you wore the same shirt again. I'm like, that was like 5 weeks ago, but okay.
Exactly. I feel bad for celebrities with that part because, like, dude, sometimes what if you
have to always wear new stuff?
You can never wear it again. Like, is it illegal to wear it? I don't know.
Pretty much.
Well, let's get into it. I want to get into. So you're from Oak. We're gonna start. So it's an ADHD podcast, so we go all over the place. But I do want to start from the beginning. You're from Oakland, California, correct?
Yeah. I grew up, born and raised in Oakland, California. My parents are from, Southeast Asia, so they're from Laos, but I grew up in Oakland. So my first language was Lao, but I learned English preschool, so that's like, 3? Yeah. Okay.
And Laos, I thought you were, and this is not like, because I grew up around Asians. I went to Whitney High School, but I say this on every podcast, the #1 high school in all of America. I went to school with a bunch of Asians. I thought you were Vietnamese. You're not?
Oh, okay. I mean, some people think that. Actually, some Vietnamese people think that because it's kind of, the countries border each other. So, maybe. I'm on my DNA ancestry. They just seem really confused. Basically, I'm Asian, but it just said, Laos. They figured out it was Laos, Thailand. There was a little bit of Vietnam, and then they put Polynesian, and they changed it, and they're like, we're not sure about the Polynesian thing. So I'm just like, just whatever. I just know where my parents are from.
Yeah, that's what I do in this acting game. I was like, whatever you guys want to think. I'm
like the samples, because they take samples, but people have traveled everywhere for centuries, so it's like,
That's so true. I got to do that shit too. Is it 22? What's it called? 22andMe, or what you did Ancestry.com?
I did Ancestry. Is it Ancestry DNA? I forgot. Ancestry something. But I know like the 23andMe. A lot of people like that one better.
For sure. Okay. No, that's cool. So let's get back. Like, I want to jump into this new series. Like, I want to just jump up right off the bat.
Yeah.
It's called Booked and Broke, correct?
Yeah. So this is not my own series, but someone else created it, and I'm one of the characters on the show. They're in post-production now, so they just wrapped actually this past week. So I play a supporting character on the series, and it's pretty fun. My character is super bubbly. She's a new friend of the main character, and you get to see me be super hyper. I mean, I'm sometimes hyper, but naturally I'm pretty mellow, so it's like it's a little different.
I feel you, and people probably think you're always hyper because of your videos, but they're like, oh, when they meet you, like, oh my God, why aren't you as hyper? Because that's like me, I'm an introvert.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so like people think I'm a certain way, but I'm like, I stay at home all day. Like the quarantine is built for me. I go out like, but yeah,
God.
I'm a very.
That too. And I really thought I was an extrovert, but then I realized with this quarantine, I was like, I'm not an introvert per se. I'm just in the middle. I'm like, I like to talk to people and whatnot, but I also like to be home and do stuff at home. So I'm like, I guess I'm both, but it didn't hurt me to stay at home. Of course I want to be on set, but other than that part, I was like, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm at home, I need to go out,
Yeah, because that's part of our jobs. Like we have to work at home most of the time. We're on set for a certain period. I mean, I'm talking like I do a bunch of movies. I'm only done a few things. I'm like a musician, but like I'm just saying like that's part of even a musician, actor, you have to work on it at home. So we're used to this. But that brings me to my next point because I'm a segue king. So how did you guys film this during the quarantine?
In the beginning of the quarantine, they stopped, because COVID, whatever. And then later, like once things started opening up, specifically other states, but also like, you know, LA opened up for a little bit, like restaurants would open for 2 weeks or whatnot.
Yeah.
So people started getting out and realizing, okay, you know, the protest stuff, people wearing masks with like 50,000 people and nobody got it. So I guess maybe masks work. I don't know. But I was at one of the protests. I think they had like 100,000 people, and that was like a month ago. So I think I'm good. I was wearing a mask, but.
So did you guys finish filming it like before the quarantine, or like was it like?
No, we finished filming it last week. So I'm not in every episode. I was actually brought on to replace somebody. So it's kind of a good thing. Like, hey, show up, right? Initially, one of my friends was on it, and so I knew some of the crew already, but like I wasn't supposed to be in it. And then one of the characters, she went to New York for COVID stuff, and she said she was going to come back July. So they waited for her to film her segment, and then she never came back. So they're like, And then they hit me up, and I was like, yeah, I'm down, because, you know, it seemed fun. And plus with the quarantine and stuff, I was like, it'd be nice to just brush up just on a series. Cause I've been doing like videos and like skits and things, but I haven't really done anything like a recurring episodic thing in a while. So I was like, you know, let's do it. And it was fun. Of course, it was like a still independent production, but they did have a whole team, and I think it's gonna be funny and good. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
That's dope, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because on our podcast we're gonna name it the Renaissance Podcast, because it's like everybody, and I want to give like information to like up and coming artists in every genre. But I'm an egomaniac, so I just named it after me. So Rockwell. But also, I'm probably gonna change it to Rockwell Podcast. We'll see.
When's your birthday? Sorry.
What?
When's your birthday?
6/10, June 10th.
Oh, okay. My sister's like the 11th. So you're Gemini.
I'm a Gemini. I'm a proud Gemini. Like I'm a. I'm telling you, there's like, I can go on and on about that. Don't get me started about Geminis. Like, I'll get.
No.
Like,
I mean, I like Geminis as friends.
Ice Cube, Johnny Depp, Bill Burr. Miles Davis, Prince,
Kanye West, and Donald Trump too. But you know,
Trump too, exactly. But I mean, whatever. You know, we take what we get.
It's cool. I mean, they have their highlights.
Yeah, we're bipolar, so like we just, you know. But anyways, so that brings me to my next point. Okay, so with the quarantine, you guys filmed it, and it's so during the quarantine, are you able to like focus on your art, and like, are you really honing in on your YouTube channel now? Because I've seen a lot of content. So your cooking video, it's hilarious.
Yeah,
a lot of your videos are super hilarious.
Another one soon, but no, because at first, like, I was primarily just doing the acting, auditioning, and then whatever gigs I booked, like that was the trajectory, you know. And during pilot season, right before COVID, like it was great. I went on a lot of auditions and got into rooms I didn't get in before. So I was just like, okay, next step is booking a major role on a TV show, right? But this happened, and I was like, well, you know, what are we doing during this time? In the beginning, I did like a short with my roommate and a couple close friends that we already saw each other. So we did like a short. It was okay for like a starter, but then I was like starting to meet these YouTubers who have been doing skits, and I learned a little bit, like, they make money off their channel because they have a lot of subscribers, right? But they're like, okay, the biggest hurdle is first getting monetized. Obviously, like I had a YouTube, but I wasn't using it to make videos. I would just like post my reel or clip or something. So they're like, you know, the first hurdle is just getting your subscribers and getting your 4,000 watch hours. And I was like, oh, so that's what you got to do before you can make $1. So that's where I'm at now, building the YouTube so I can get to the first you know, milestone, if you want to call it that. And then after that, you know, keep building it up. But my goal is not to be like, oh, a YouTuber, you know, because some of these people, that's all they do. They don't do TV or whatever. This is their main job every day. So that's not what I want, but I do want to have that ability to make some supplemental income and also do videos, but still pursue the regular acting and auditions and still, you know, pursue the television and film. Yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned that too, and you said everything perfectly. Because I want to get into this real quick, because like you said, YouTubers, and we have a lot of respect for YouTubers. This is different kind of art. I'm not a YouTuber, and I feel like a lot of us who are like musicians or artists or actors, like we don't like to be called YouTubers, but there's things we can learn from them and take away from them. And look at Will Smith, like he's he adapted. This is like 3 years ago, right? I think 2017.
Right, to Instagram and all that stuff. Yeah, it's
And
funny.
he's killing it, right? And I think, do you think that your background and like being performance artist, like, and we'll get into your whole background soon too. Do you think that helped you with the YouTube situation? So now you can come into the YouTube situation with like a artist mind instead of just creating like nonsense content. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's true. It is different though, because yeah, like I said, some of the YouTubers, they've never acted on anything, and that's all they do on YouTube. I was like, oh, you've never acted in like a regular set? And they're like, no, it's just YouTube. I was like, oh shit, wow. I was like, at least you're making money off your own channel. But so it's funny because some of them, they'll have like 500,000 subscribers, but they're like want to learn more about like, oh, getting an agent and all that other basic stuff. To me, that's basic, but I'm like, you don't know, like, but it's cool because then we can like marry the two worlds and kind of, do both. Especially right now, like I was saying, because of quarantine, we're like, let's maximize this time period when we're not on a regular set or other things aren't shooting yet. Others are starting to open up, which makes me very happy because I know there are some productions that are shooting now, but they're doing the COVID testing like every morning, or what, I don't know if it's every morning, but I saw one of my friends, he was on a set and they did the swab, and they have a whole tent for that before they get signed in and everything. I'm like, wow, it's crazy.
Yeah, shit. I might have to just get on the set to get tested because it's like hard to even get tested with, so maybe I got to get on a book something.
So you got to figure out something, right? Yeah.
But let me ask you this. This is a really interesting part. Okay. So when you meet these YouTubers, like when you do these series, like, and again, this is like, I want to ask you this in the most clear way. Like, so the people you're doing this last series with, like, are they YouTubers or they're actors and actresses, or just in general?
This past series, actually, they do have a YouTube, but they're not YouTubers. They're regular actors. So it is different, and it's funny because the quality of like, they have a whole crew, and like the guy who's doing the camera, he like really knows what he's doing. And so it's gonna look great. I've already seen like, some samples, but as far as the YouTube people, like they're not necessarily professional cinematographers or anything. And they'll use like a basic DSLR camera sometimes to shoot their stuff. They might have like one mic, and it's not like super, I don't want to say high quality because some of them still are high quality, but a lot of them don't necessarily have to look like a full production, and they'll just put out the videos and put it out, but they're consistent. So that's what they do on their channel to make money. And what they usually do with other YouTubers, and they'll just help each other out. Like, okay, you shoot my stuff, I shoot your stuff. And then we both make our own money on each other's channel. That's how they usually do it. And I was like, oh, wow, that's really interesting. I'm like, that's cool. But when you're like the new person, you're just kind of like collaborating, but you're not making money on your, well, I'm not making money on my channel. I need to get monetized first, but like, what I'm saying? So I'm learning, and I'm like, okay, I definitely want to do it more and have this also be a thing. And in the meantime, while things are opening up, I have an audition I got to do tonight, but I'm definitely getting back into, getting in on a major set and still building where I was heading towards before all this happened.
And I think that's the big difference, what you just said. And I think it's that's a big difference. And everybody just got to stay, like, not stay in their lane, but respect their own lane. But also, so I have this question for you, right? So when you get on these set, like when you meet these YouTubers, are you surprised of how much respect, like everybody pays attention to numbers, like, oh my God, that person got a million followers. But at the end of the day, when you meet them, they still want to learn from you because you have knowledge that they don't know. Okay, they got followers. Were you surprised at that aspect? Like, okay, they're still trying to pick your brain in the acting game and how do you get an agent and things like that?
Yeah, I was initially, now I'm not surprised because I get it now. But the first time I stepped on one of the sets of their skits, I was like, huh, that's interesting. Because I know like maybe one of the girls I met was like doing really good with her little YouTube series. Not really like a full-blown series, but like whatever videos that she makes. And she's like, I want to learn more about, getting into acting, auditioning. And then I'm like, well, you've been doing this, but it's different. I get it because she's been doing her own stuff, but she hasn't been, or in her friends' videos, but she hasn't been like on a, major set with like a major director or anything yet. So it is different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, I wouldn't say it's better or worse because I'm like, hey, it's just a different platform And I know like the top YouTubers that have, yeah, like over 1 million subscribers, like they're doing really well. And a lot of them have other products and whatever else that they maximize their brand, and they're doing better than a lot of actors, or I don't want to say real actors, but a lot of actors who just do regular sets. So I would never shit on anybody because it's just a different platform. That's all.
Exactly, and it's two different worlds. So like my last point on this is like, okay, for you're like Will Smith, even you guys are actors and actresses. You guys making your YouTube channel, but that's not your primary source of income. Your primary source, you can do a movie next month and make 20. You know what I mean? Like your money doesn't have to be like that. So it's good to have on the side, and it's very like, I think it's cathartic. It's like therapeutic. You can release your, you know. I saw one with you in your diary, a quarantine one, and that's hilarious too. So it's like another form of like expression. But that's not your main bread and butter. You know, you could do a movie next month and make you know, so it's like everybody just stop judging one another. And I'm saying like the way you're looking at it is very healthy, because you can learn from them. Like, oh, how do I get this shit up? And they can learn from you. Like, oh, how do I learn technique? How do I get this shit? Like the man, you know? So that's, yeah. Is there anything else?
And they motivated me. They motivated me to get more. I mean, I had a basic equipment for like self-tape auditioning, but I was like, I need to get a camera. I'm like, if I'm gonna so I bought a camera. It's not here yet, but I bought a camera. I bought more lights. I bought another microphone, and I'm just like, damn, I'm dropping a lot of money, but I'm like, it will come back eventually. But for now, I'm like, if I'm gonna do it, this is the time that I should be doing it.
Yeah. And I always like with actors, I was like, man, you have no idea how much, because you guys just get to go on auditions, and just like with music, you gotta buy the equipment. And
right.
Yeah, it takes a toll on you, because like, oh my God, I spent like but it does pay off in the long run, and you have to invest in yourself.
Damn, it's not even like it is a good camera for starter, but I'm like, it's not even like the top. But of course I got to start small, because I don't even know how to use. I mean, I can use a basic DSLR, but that's it. Like but not all the extra stuff. So I'm still learning too. So when I get it, I'm still gonna have to learn the camera. So
did you get a ring light?
This is a ring right here, but
nice. Yeah, I'm like, see, okay, there we go. See, I'm just starting to learn about this shit too. I need to get me a ring light.
I've been had this ring light, but I have 2 softbox lights, and they're kind of dim. But I got 2 more LED lights that can like turn up and down, so that should help. And then I got the camera, which is one of the Canons, but it's based on a lot of studying and reviews on different YouTube cameras. Like, it seems to be really good. So I'm excited to learn, and some of my friends who are a little bit more savvy might help me. But yeah, I'm excited, because I'm like, the thing with like, if you're doing YouTube, like, you don't want to get a camera that's like super huge where you always need to have someone else focusing it, because then it's just like, well, what if you're just vlogging and then you don't have someone, then you can't use it. So for YouTube, it's different. So you want a camera that can do both, where you could also focus it yourself, and then, or you can have someone else do it, so that you could do your vlog and you could also shoot something too. So that's where I was like, okay, that's going to be for YouTube, but I can shoot pictures on it. It looks amazing based on the footage that I saw. So I was like, you know, let's do this, you know, just drop 2 bands. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Oh, there you go. And that's what people get used to. You got to drop 2 bands sometimes, because especially in quarantine, like, what else are you going to do? Like, be productive during this time.
Right.
We're going to jump all the way back real quick. Oakland, California. You're from Laos. You were born in Oakland?
Oh yeah, I was born and raised in Oakland. So the Lao thing I only know because of my parents.
Sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just want to ask this, and then you can explain so yeah, explain growing up in Oakland, and then being Asian, and did they support, your parents and your family support you, if you don't mind? That's what I want to hear.
Support me, like, as far as what I do now?
Encouraging with acting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Honestly,
and Oakland, too, like growing up there as an Asian girl in Oakland, because I know about Oakland. Shout out to Oakland.
The town, yes. No, I mean, it was great, because I grew up with a lot of different cultures, and it was pretty diverse. Like, most of the schools I went to was pretty diverse. So like, I didn't have any real issues with like, oh, you're this, you're that, you know. Although, of course, like everyone else, I'm sure we've all encountered some kind of racism, but people were used to seeing multiple races, ethnicities, cultures, even more so than LA. Like, when I came to LA, a lot of people didn't know about Laos. They knew Thai because there's Thailand, but there's a lot of countries in Asia that they don't know about here, where the Bay Area, they're way more knowledgeable about. So I was like, okay, that's different. But yeah, growing up, my parents, they're still traditional now, but they're American, so they adapted a little bit. Now, because I've been doing this acting and the entertainment business for a minute, they're just like, okay, just go make money, please. That's really, at this point, all my mom cares about. My dad too.
All immigrant parents. I don't even care if you're Asian immigrant parents, Nigerian immigrant parents. It's all they care about is if you make money, which is fair. Fair. Yeah.
So they're like, the only reason they didn't initially support acting is because they're like, well, how are you gonna make money? Like, what are the chances? It's always the same thing. So it's not that they're against acting, they're just against being a broke artist. That's all. So I get it, because I don't want to be a broke artist either. So I feel you. But you might got to start somewhere first. So in the beginning though, like when in high school, that was when I started doing most of the performing arts. Like I took my first acting class in high school, and then I kind of got the bug. I was like, wow, this is really fun. But I was like a contemporary dancer, jazz, ballet. So I was doing that.
I saw that on IMDb.
So I was doing that first. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, okay, well, let me audition for some musicals so I can like also do those shows, but you still have to act as well. And I was like, it's fine, I can act, whatever. So I did. And then of course, like in high school, it's like a different ball game than like the real world. But I was just like, wow, I'm amazing at this. I could do this,
Oh, yeah.
So, so you come into the real world. But in college, I didn't pursue acting. I did dance, and then I also just did the academic route. And then after that, I was like, you know what? I still want to do acting, so let me actually pursue it for real. So that's when I decided to actually pursue acting as a career. Mm-hmm. And it's been good. I mean, it's been, of course, ups and downs, but I love it. I still like it. I just love the entertainment industry as a whole now that I see the full picture. But yeah, in the beginning, my parents, they were not happy about like me spending extra money on like dance classes or whatever classes. If it costs money, they're like, why are you doing this? You're not gonna do this professionally, so you're just wasting, because they didn't have a lot of money. So they're like, you're wasting your lunch money on your freaking dance classes, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, no, I really love it, blah, blah, blah. And at that time, of course, I wasn't making any money. I was just like doing it. But I was just like, I love it, blah, blah, blah. You don't understand. So, it took them a lot of warming up to be like, okay, I guess she's not going to stop, so let's just support her.
I think that's how it goes all the time. That's what happened with me too. I'm like, dude, at a certain point, they're like, he's not going to stop. All right, now you have to support at this point if you want to be in that person's life.
Right? You still see your kids. It's like, okay. And then once I start, as long as I don't ask them for money ever, which I don't now, then 100%. They're like, okay, I guess whatever she's doing, I guess she's doing fine.
I'm sure you heard the word stable a lot. And the same with me, like I never asked my parents for nothing, and but they still had fears, like, oh, as long they want me to be stable. I'm stable.
Oh, of course.
I'm very stable. But like I'm not your kind of stable. Like I'm not like 9 to 5 stable, but I don't even think that's stable either, because you can get laid off.
Right.
At any given point, and your whole life is thrown off because you worked there. Anyways, we'll get into that later. But
right.
Let me ask you this. Okay, could you elaborate on the form of dancing that you were trained in and how that helped you with your acting, and how that even like maybe motivated you to get into acting? If that did.
The dance, in a way, yeah, the dance training, I mean, obviously definitely takes discipline, especially like something like ballet. I didn't want to be a ballerina, but a lot of the foundation of contemporary, you have to know some ballet. So very technical, but there's also artistic creativity, but it's very technical as well. It's basically a sport. So
it is a sport.
It was a lot of discipline. And even when I got to college, then I was competing with these girls that have been doing ballet since they were 3, and that wasn't me. So I was just like, do I really want to do this as a career? Because I would have had to stay in college for like 5 years. And then I was like, I don't want to do that if I'm not going to pursue dance as a career. So I was like, so that's why I like switched my majors. But I still love dance. It just wasn't what I wanted to do like as a career anymore. I was just like, that was fun, but I'm not gonna pursue it professionally. I'll do it like if someone wants me to do choreography and something, like cool. So I have booked like some commercials where I did like some choreography, basic stuff, nothing crazy. that just had some dancing in it. So it's like, it's good for that. And also for acting, like a lot of commercial agents, they love like people who have other skills, right? So there's agencies that they will sign athletes or people who are able to do certain sports, certain types of dance styles. If they're very expert, they'll sign them and just put like sport only. So I know like people do that. And then if you get your acting shit together, then they might put you on the acting roster. So it's an advantage to have other skills, because yeah, it's like, it's cool to just do acting, but it's like, you got to still act like human beings that do stuff. So,
have you seen the movie Black Swan?
Better.
Have you seen the movie Black Swan? I know that's an ignorant question.
Oh, yeah. No, of course, yeah. That's one of my favorite movies.
It's one of my favorite movies too. Like, I love that movie. And I like, did you feel a separate, this is like just a person who loves that movie. I'm just asking you, like, because I don't know. My brother, actually, shout out to my brother, and he was embarrassed. My brother took ballet lessons I'm like, my parents never, I think because he was so embarrassed about it, they didn't put me, I'd be on top of the world right now if I took ballet lessons, Mom.
Yeah, if
why did you put me in ballet? Why'd you put him in ballet? Anyways, so my question is, like, did you relate to that movie differently because of your dance culture?
I think a little bit, but because at that time I had already done acting before, like I really was in love with the whole story and psychological thriller of it. So that part was really great to me. And the dancing was beautiful, of course, but it wasn't like, there's dance movies where it's just like, it's just a dance movie. That's the point. That's the point of the storyline, is they go win a competition or whatever.
Yeah,
and that's not that movie. And so I went to watch that movie with a fellow dancer, and she wasn't an actress though, but she was like, it was okay. I felt like they could have done more with the dancing. And I was like, girl, that's not what the movie's about. I'm like, the dancing was beautiful, but that wasn't the point at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's good for it.
So I loved it because I really do like psychological thrillers. I would say, I love comedy, as you know, too, but like, as far as like something that's like really gritty and like, I don't know, like pleasurable for the soul, I really like psychological thrillers.
Word. And shout out to Darren. I just had to Google it right now because I like know. Darren Aronofsky. I don't even know who he is. I know he's a great director because he directed that movie. I'm sure
he does a lot of. He did Requiem for a Dream.
I love that movie too. Hollywood forgive me for that. Like, so I don't know everything. Like, so Hollywood forgive me. I don't know I've heard that name before. I just didn't know what he did.
I have to catch up on current shit because I'm busy doing my own shit, and I'm like, damn, I'm not caught up on all these shows that I need to know about. So I feel you.
You're busy doing your own shit. See, I'm the king of segues. Let's get into your book that you're working on and elaborate. I'm mad. They need to give me a Tonight Show. Honestly, I'm getting way better at this. Y'all can see I'm the king of this shit. Anyways, yeah, let's get into your book though, because honestly, I want to hear more about that. Your Amazon book.
So I have an Amazon book. It's on pre-order now, but I haven't told anyone yet because I do want to do marketing, and I also am having someone fix the cover because I made the cover initially and it looked good on my phone, but then I was like, yeah, the thumbnail is not popping. So that's what's happening now, but the book itself is done, and it's been formatted and everything. It's already on pre-order. But it's called How to Become a Working Actor, and the subtitle is A Guide on Getting Started, Building a Brand, and Working in Hollywood. So it's basically starts from ground one to like getting started, taking classes, to like how to get an agent, how to format your resume correctly, how to, do the headshot thing, how to find out your type, all the basic stuff, matching your package with what you bring into the room and all that stuff that matters to just book a job. And then I talk about the union and publicity, and then I add social media elements and building your brand with that too. So all of that stuff in like 12 chapters and some outros and intros. And so I believe it will be very helpful. Like if I read this book when I first came to LA, then I would have been like, oh, probably a step ahead. But you got to go through life and happens.
Did you self-publish this book, or did somebody publish it?
Self-published, yeah.
So could you, if you don't mind, because I admire, I have a friend named Billionaire PA. He's gonna do the podcast soon. We're just working on that shit. But he has self-published books, so I really admire people who self-publish books. So could you, if you don't mind, briefly explaining how the process of being self-published and how it works?
Okay, well, I don't know about other platforms, but through Amazon, it's actually pretty easy. Like once you format it, and that way some people do it themselves, or you can pay someone to format. I paid someone to format it, but initially I wrote the whole book in Word, Microsoft Word, and then I was talking to an author who sold books before, and he was just like, oh, I just paid somebody on like Fiverr to format it for me. And I was like, oh, sweet. So I paid someone on Fiverr to format it instead of like
Fiverr too, like, because Fiverr has a lot of resources. Sorry to interrupt you. Continue.
Please. Yeah. Yeah, Fiverr is great, and you'll pay probably a lot less than you would trying to just Google somebody to format your book, So I found someone on Fiverr to format it. It took a little longer because, you're paying a discounted price, but like it ended up working out. And I was like, okay, cool. They formatted it to the Kindle version because Kindle takes like Mobi or whatever. And then they can also format it into the paperback, which is just PDF. But when you're on Word, it's not formatted the way like a book should be, So somebody, either you or somebody else, has to do it. Either way, after you get that part done, then you literally just sign on to Amazon Kindle and paperback, and you just upload it. And then once you have your cover designed and fit into the right size, then you just upload your cover, and then you can just release it. That's how simple it is. Like once you get all the other crap together, then just actually uploading it is pretty simple. And then Amazon, I think they have a marketing promo you could ask Amazon to do, but I don't know how much it costs or anything. But I plan to market myself and also learn from other people who like market on social media. So that's why I was like, I'm gonna do the pre-order thing for like probably a couple months so that I can market it more, and I'll probably make promo videos to like market that specific book and just build from there. Because initially I was like, oh, let me just put it out and be like, hey, I published a book, but then that's really bad because then it's like, no, you need to market it first. Like that's with anything, right? So I was like, okay, well, the pre-order thing is good because anything people order from pre-order, it goes towards your first week of sales once the book is released. So on Amazon, like let's say you have 3 months or 2 months before your release date, and if a bunch of people buy pre-orders, all of those during the 3 months will go towards your first week sales. So then that means in the first week sales, it's just like the box office. It matters more.
It does. That's how you get on the list, right? The bestsellers list.
Yeah. Or just there's the thing with Amazon too. Like if you don't have enough high sales, like in the first weeks or couple weeks, then they'll put your book like kind of on the back burner, where you'll see something on Amazon where it's like, we'll ship in 7 to 14 days. That's because it's not popular enough. And they have to, it's not in stock or whatever item it is. So they have to like take more time to get it. But if it's like popular, then it'll be like, oh, it ships in 2 days because it's like popular and it's on the list of whatever Amazon list they have for like things that people order.
That's amazing because that guy, Billionaire PA, shout out to him. We'll get him. He always told me, he's like, man, take your music off iTunes even, like, because direct to consumer, because like they take percentages that they don't really earn. And like the way you're doing it with your book is genius because you're already developing your fan base on your Instagram, on your YouTube. So you're direct to consumer. And like nobody could take any percentages off of it because you literally.
Well, Amazon, if you do Amazon, they do take.
That's fine. That's just Amazon. Yeah. How much do they take? I want the people.
Okay, so it depends. If your book is priced for paperback, I forget what paperback is, but for Kindle, if your book is priced between $2.99 to $9.99, in the US and a few other countries, you get 70% royalty. So that's really good. But if it's like some other random countries, it might be like 35%. But if your book is more than $9.99 or less than $2.99, then you get 35%. And that's not that good.
I see.
So that's why I was like, write a book that doesn't cost more than $9.99.
Oh, there you go. That's a good point too. And maybe in the future, after this book, which it will do successful, could you just shout out real quick where they can pre-order it at, the link, and we'll mention at the end as well. But
I don't have the link yet because I have the link, but it's not ready yet.
We'll put it up, and when we release,
we'll put it up. It will be ready within the next week or so. So.
Okay, so like say this book is successful, then and you build your like there's a lot of talk right now, real quick. I know we only got like 10 more minutes, 20 minutes left, but I want to just explain something to the people. There's a big talk in the music industry right now. Like if Drake went independent right now, he would kill the music industry because he already developed, like, he has a huge
fan base, right? Yeah.
He doesn't need a label. And again, the label does a lot of the work. Don't get me wrong. They do a lot of they spend a lot of the money, but Drake has that money to fund that now, right?
Yeah,
so, like, the same way in the book industry, I'm seeing it happen. Like even with Gary Vee and like a lot of people, just self-publishing is a real thing that I think people can learn from. And I want to get into like I want to write a book one day. So this is I'm asking, even for me, I'm like, okay, that's dope. You wrote a book. Last question on the book, and we'll get into other things real quick. But last question on the book, like, how did you know when you were done with the book? Like, how do you know?
Well, initially when I actually started writing it a little bit before quarantine, and then quarantine happened. I was like, well, now I have time to finish it, right? So I had written initially the outlines, because this is a self-help book. It's just like, okay, how to, chapter 1. I already like had my topics for what each chapter was going to be. And then after that, I actually wrote most of it initially in my phone. And then after that, I was like, transferred it to Word. And I was like, oh crap, this is a mess. So fixing it in Word and actually like typing it fully, like how it would be in a book, that took probably the longest part. And once I proofread it so many times, and then I was like, oh my gosh, it's still a typo, why? And then I actually had one of my friends who edits a lot, and he looked over it because we work together a lot. And he was like, I'll look over it. I'll quick take who. So he found more stuff that I was like, okay, not too many errors left, but he found the rest of it. And then finally I was like, okay, I'm done editing as far as just regular editing content. Now I got to format it. So the formatting thing I got with my Fiverr person who my author friend recommended. And we went back and forth a few times because for me to, like what they did. So that took like a couple weeks. And then, after that, I was like, okay, cool, I'm done. And then now I'm like, okay, the cover needs to be fixed. But after that cover is done, then I'm like, okay, good. We are good. So the main part is obviously the content is going to be the longest part, because I don't know how long that took, because I did it on and off. It wasn't like consecutively. I would be up all night writing one chapter, and then later, whatever, another day, do another chapter. And then I go back to the chapter and be like, oh, I'm missing all this stuff. Oh, I sent it to my agent too. And she looked over it. And she was like, oh, you should add a part about so-and-so. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. So certain things where I was like, oh, I forgot to add. But for now,
sorry. Did you send it to your acting agent? So,
yeah, she represents.
Okay, so she cares. That's dope. That's super dope. Whoever she is, but that's super ill. That she's caring about other aspects of it. Because
no, that's what I'm saying. Because I know she's not gonna make any money from this specifically.
That's not acting. Agents should continue.
Yeah. So because actually so far my paperback version, which I'm going to have as well, although it's primarily an ebook. I'm on the back cover. I have 3 people that I know quoting, because they read it and quoting, basically a review, praise, whatever. So that's going to be on the back cover. So I had my agent as one of them, writer director that I worked with, and also the best-selling author that is my friend, who he basically gave me some tips. So he actually was he said that his first few books, I think he did a publisher, and he lost so much money, and he was just now he knows how to market himself. So he only self-publishes now. And he's it's so much easier for him, at least, to make the money he wants to make doing self-publishing. And I was like, okay, cool. I mean, maybe for somebody else that's, has a huge book in all these stores, it might not be worth it because they need a lot of help, whatever. But if you're popping out I don't know, fantasy novels here and there and just so many books, it might be good to self-publish because you get more of the royalty money.
No, see, that's a great way. That's what I want to tell my listeners. It's good to be, right now is a Renaissance era. It's good to be independent. It's good to, especially during the quarantine where you can't. And I want to mention real quick a post you made, which I thought was hilarious, but I thought was very informative about who you are as a person.
Oh.
So I'll find it. I'll find a set no matter what. I was like, that's how I am. I'll find a way. Yeah, that's dope. And I think that's motivating to people. Say, oh, she's finding a set no matter what. That's hilarious. It is that's your passion for acting, right? Could you elaborate on shit that? Okay, I just have a passion for it. Could you just elaborate on that?
And that set actually somebody that I knew hit me up through social media, and they worked on a lot of productions, but they were like, hey, can you do this? It pays this much. I was like, yeah, I'm down, you know. I'm like, let's go.
Why are you
So,
down? Like, could you, yeah, I want to know why you're so big. You love it, and I love that you love it, and people could feel that. So why are you, you know? Yeah, why?
I've been loving acting, and of course, like I've had my patches where I'm just like, trust me, I've had where I'm like, I'm just gonna quit. I'll do the entertainment industry, but I'm just gonna do something else. I'm tired of the bullshit. Like I've been there, trust me. But as far as like actually when I'm on set, I'm always like, oh yeah, this is why I love it. This is so great. Like once you're there, you know, it's like not just the craft part, because it's still hard work, but I've gone to fall in love with the business part as well now. So that's the part where I think a lot of people initially, they're like, oh yeah, I love acting, but they get so frustrated because the business is not going exactly as they planned. But it never goes exactly as you planned. It's, you know, it's like it'll go like this instead of just like, oh yeah, you know, it doesn't ever just, yeah, it's just like that. So yeah, I that's part of the book thing too, is I'm talking a lot about the business part, because I feel like a lot of people like kind of get frustrated and ignore that part, and it's just as important, if not sometimes more important than the craft. Because I know a lot of people who are like, they're okay actors, they're good enough, and they work a lot. And I know some amazing actors who don't work at all.
I'm gonna stop you right there when you just said that, because I know actors, and I know amazing, like you just said, I know amazing actors who like are amazing, and they'll sit in their room all day. They'll work on Shakespeare. They'll memorize every Shakespeare thing. But this is a different era. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like if I'm booking acting shit where I don't have a lick of like I never took a class. But I book shit here and there. You know, and they get mad.
Yeah.
Like, dog, I'm telling, and these are people I respect. They're my friends, and I love them to death, and I learn from them. So it like almost uncomfortable even telling them when good shit happens, because like,
oh right, you're like, yeah, so doing a commercial. Like what?
exactly. They're like, dude, I taught you how to act, like, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like, for the people out there, like, you have to get out of your social circle and your comfort zone. Like, you have to meet people in LA and Hollywood. That's the goal. Like, 90% of this shit is relationships, and if you have talent, you have talent. And I'm not minimizing like the lessons. I'm not minimizing the skill set and the
of course, you have to work on that if
exactly.
you want to be competitive, like for sure. And even me, I'm always like, yeah, I could be doing better, you know, like, yeah, that needs to be better. But in general, it's like, you know, you could still work. Like there's people who are, I don't want to say worse, but they're not as skilled and they still work. So I'm just like, don't like not brush up on your skills, but don't have that be the only thing you have either.
100%. I want to ask you the last question real quick. And I know this might be like, you might have to think about it. So like, what's like when you see a career in the acting or in any, who's like your hero that you don't even have to mention them, but like, what's your career trajectory, and like, what do you want for your career? Not even life. I don't care about, I do care about it, but I'm saying like, I want to focus. I was gonna say like, oh, happiness and all that shit, or that's another subject, right? I want to talk about your career. Like,
Right.
like, what's your goals for your career?
Damn, it's so hard to pinpoint one person, because I'm like, oh, I want this part of this person's career and this part of that person's career. So just like, I guess for now, I'll say, because I relate to her, like as an Asian American, Constance Wu, like I think she's like a perfect example of like, she wasn't a name when she got fresh off the boat. Like she wasn't a name, so she had done like some good independent movies that made the rounds, whatever. And then fresh off the boat led to Crazy Rich Asians and all that. Before she made the controversial tweet, you know, she was like the shit. Like
I don't even know what that tweet was, and we're not gonna address it. Move on.
Right. But other than that, like her career trajectory went from like before her getting the show, just working independent, like just working, period, to like becoming, you know, the lead on a sitcom for 5 years. Like that's great. And then and that was the first Asian American family show that we had since like 20 years or something like that. So
I thought that's the first. What's 20 years? What happened 20 years ago that I don't know?
I think Margaret Cho, the comedian Margaret Cho,
I didn't know about that.
I think she had something that was on TV.
Shout out to her.
I should know, but something. Yeah. But since oh no, was that? The Joy Luck Club. But
Yeah,
that's a movie.
Though. Yeah, that's a book.
That's a movie, but they compared that to Crazy Rich Asians as well. Like Crazy Rich Asians was the first movie.
Okay, I can see that.
Since the Joy Luck Club with an Asian-centered family, and that was like 20 years, I think.
The difference is,
I don't know how.
Yeah, the
a long
difference
time.
Like like Joy Luck Club is like cultural. Like it's like I like.
You remember Joy Luck Club? I was like, well, you know Joy Luck Club, right?
I know the book. I never saw the movie. I know the book, and
Yeah.
that's like cultural Asian. But like now we need to be able to showcase our, like, because I'm Asian too. I'm telling everybody this all the time, bro. I'm Asian too. So I want us to be able to, like, even American Asians, like I feel like our generation is like really the first prominent generation American, Asian American.
No, seriously. And now that like the Gen Zs and all that stuff, it's like, wow, like most Asians are just Americans that live in America now, you know? It's like, of course there's people who travel, but like when I was growing up, there were still a lot of people that were still coming in and stuff. And now, well, you know, immigration, let's not talk about that. But now mostly everyone you meet is an American, even if they're Asian, whatever. So we have a lot of that culture mixed in. Because when I went to like Laos and Thailand, I was like, this is great, but culturally, we're not the same at all. Like I understand a lot of the culture because obviously my parents, but definitely like don't see myself marrying somebody from like that culture because it's just so different, you know. It's just like certain jokes, like you're just not going to get it. And that's with any foreigner. It's just like unless you learn it and kind of like learn how we do things, it's like you're not going to understand the culture fully or like what the references we make and stuff. And another, I was going to say, adding to who I like aspire or a career that I look up to, Shay Mitchell from Pretty Little Liars.
Crazy. I just found out about her. Okay, continue. Oh, that's so crazy.
And then her,
like, I was like, why have I not ever heard about her before? I was like, she's gorgeous. I'm like, what? Anyway.
Oh, you just found out. Oh, she's from Pretty Little Liars, but like, and of course, the show You on Netflix. She was in the first season, and she's done a ton of other random stuff, but mainly she's known for Pretty Little Liars. So, her career, I mean, she was before Pretty Little Liars, like just doing bottle service in Canada. So like I love those stories, but also like because of the trajectory of that show and how well it did, like that gave her, you know, helped give her brand. But she also like catapulted her brand. Like her YouTube channel is lit. Like even her vlogs of like going to Coachella and all that stuff. Like that's kind of like what I want as far as the YouTube thing, to be like, okay, I'm on a show, but I still have like my content for YouTube too that looks great and people tune in. So like something like her channel, like I think it looks great. And I would say she's like one of the few, I wouldn't say one of the few, but like one of the actresses who, no matter what she does right now, because she's built her brand so much that she's going to get work. Like, you know, sometimes there's people that will be on shows for a while and you're like, oh yeah, they're from that hit show. But after that show is done, you don't really see them, or sometimes it's because it's hard for them to get work again. And other times they're doing other things. But if it's because it's hard for them to get work, like Shay's someone who she can, like someone will offer her roles, like just because of her brand now. Like she's basically also an influencer, even though she's been on a major network show as a series regular. So that's kind of like, as far as branding, I kind of want that vibe.
I love that answer. That was a perfect answer. And I'm gonna end up on this, like just like what you just said is so important to our new generation, our new culture. Is like actors can't be lazy no more, and actually actors and musicians, stop putting bullshit like writers. Like stop asking for green M&Ms only. At this point, so the other person who fucking creates their own content, that person might take the spot. So stop being fucking snobby and sleazy, and like, you know, now you have to actually work. You can't rely on your agent. Now you have to create your own content. You have to believe in yourself. You have to invest in yourself. So stop making excuses, stop complaining. I'm so glad you said that. I want to, yeah. And I'm like, if I go on, I'm gonna get too angry.
Get too passionate. No, it's good because if anything, aside from, you know, COVID, I hope everyone's safe. But like aside from that whole situation, like as far as quarantine, like it actually, I think, helped a lot of not every artist, but it helped a lot of artists who found their way back into like, I got to do this shit myself. Like I can't rely on just my agents. And not that we were only relying on our agents anyway, but like now, especially when there's nothing open, all you have is
Some
like
people were
yourself.
only relying on their agents. I'm not saying you were. I'm sorry, but I have to cut in there because, like, when I talk, I have a lot of actor friends. I'm sorry, but and this is an acting podcast. But I have to say, like, some actors only rely on their agents, and that needs to stop. Continue. I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I've never been that, but I also think it's very important to have a good agent. And I've had different agents through the years, and I think I talk about that as well in my book. But like I've gone through like the next agent, I'm like, okay, this was okay in this area, but this needs work. And so you do keep stepping up, you know, to eventually you find your team who you really love. Like I really do love my team right now. Of course, like no relationship's perfect, any business or personal. Where are you going? No, I'm just kidding. but yeah, it's
off the doggy door, and I have to like he doesn't understand. Right? Hold on one second. Sorry. I'm listening.
Okay, but it's been good because I actually like, you know, have a relationship with my reps, and I think they're good people as well. And as much as we like to say it's just professional, it's just like you want to work with people who you feel like you can trust, who's there for you. You know, you don't have to be their best friend, but like it's just business relationship, but also you have good personal relationship. That helps a lot.
And I think that's so incredible. And what I'm saying is like make the agent's job easier, like make your management, your representation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Easier. So like, it's like, we have to respect them. Shout out to my agent and shout out to, everybody who like helps me, you know, like I respect that. Last, I know I keep saying last question. Okay. Yeah. Like,
no worries. I'm not in a rush or anything.
Cool.
I just got to do an audition after this and, you know.
Cool. And it's like an important question just because it's really, and I just did a video about this recently. All right. Hold on. I gotta take a breath real quick. I gotta explain it. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I have to restart real quick. All right. So I'm seeing a lot of like, and people send it to me, and this shit pisses me off a lot. I'm seeing a lot of racist videos from, you know, we can call it like Americans or like white America. I'll just call it white America because like not all white America, but I'm saying somewhere in America. They're doing a lot of, especially after this COVID shit happened. I feel like the racism towards Asians, and even like I'm an Asian person, so I feel it myself, is like it got way more blatant, way more obvious. People are feeling way more comfortable spewing their racism. Have you seen any of these like viral videos of like people just being rude to Asian women and Asian people in general?
Yeah, I saw a couple, but then after I saw a couple, I was like, I don't want to watch anymore. But but I did see a couple, and I've heard of the story. I've read the articles and stuff, and I was like, it mostly happened. Well, the ones I read, it mostly happened in the southern states. And I was like, oh, that sucks. But like, I know it happens here too, but I haven't. I don't think I personally experienced it myself because, man, if it happened in LA right here, I'd be like, what the heck?
Yeah, it wouldn't. But it would happen in Alhambra.
I know it does, but like, but if it happened, I'd still be shocked because I'm like, really? But anyway, there was one time in the beginning of quarantine, and I don't know, because I don't want to assume, because I don't like to assume everything's just racist. But like, I was in my car getting money from the ATM. And then I was sitting back in my car, like on the side street, whatever. And then somebody just threw an egg on my car. And I'm like,
oh, that's not.
Yeah. And I was like, I've never had my car egged before. I was like, oh, it's better it's not a rock. But I was just like, I wasn't upset because I was just like, I thought they were like mentally ill. I was like,
why weren't you upset though? Even if they
were. But then in my head, because COVID just happened. It was like right in the beginning of lockdown. So then I was like, a second thought of mine was like, did they do that because I'm Asian? Because it's COVID? You know? So that was the only incident I had personally that I was like, is this because of COVID? I don't know to this day, but don't egg random people's car who didn't do shit to you. Why would you do that anyways? Like,
and I'm glad that you could take that the way you did, and you can like smile at it. And I'm sure like, but at the end of the day, and you're right, you're like okay, that's only. But even I've never even dealt with it, but I'm seeing it. So it's like, even if there's the only is too much, you know, like only is, not to sound cliche or corny, but like only is one too many times or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's some fucking bullshit. I'm tired of seeing that shit. And so I'm gonna leave it like, and we're gonna end on a happy note at the end, but I just want to address that because like, I said this on a vlog or something I did. I was like, yo, you guys have to, especially in Hollywood, you guys think that we're quiet. We're very, we see what's going on, but we're very
Oh,
quiet.
yeah.
Yeah, we don't speak, which is okay. But watch what's gonna happen in 5 years when all the agents are Asian. You know what I mean? Like, that's gonna really happen because we're educated. We stay in the cut. We're methodical. We think things out. So everybody out there doing that bullshit, and you guys think, oh, you're getting out spewing your hate towards Asians. You guys are gonna break us down. No, it's never gonna happen. That's all I'll leave it at that. But anything else you want to talk about? And I didn't mean to end on like a negative tone.
No, it's fine. It's just like I love it. I love the passion.
Cool. Anything else you want to address? Let's end on a light note. Is there anything you like? I love your cooking show. You're hilarious. Can I ask you one last question? Like, do you ever think about doing stand up? You don't want to do stand up?
Oh my gosh! Literally in the shower today, I was just thinking about like doing something, and then like, my manager has actually like asked me like, "Do you do?" And I was like, "No, I haven't," because I know stand up is a very different world than just doing comedic videos. I do realize that, and now I'm just like, maybe I should just like try some jokes in my fucking living room and be like, "Hey, doing stand up right here. What do y'all think of this?" No, I don't know, but for now, obviously, people aren't really doing shows like that. Although I have heard of some people doing some shows, like people wearing masks or something. I don't know, but as far as like being a new person that's never done it, I'm like, maybe I should just do it like open mic or something, just to see, you know. I haven't written any jokes specifically for like a stand-up routine, but I was thinking of some like earlier today. I'm like, I could put that in the video, but that sounds like it could be good for stand-up too, you know? Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you this because, and and we're done after that, like soon. So 8:20 will be done. Okay. Sorry. And I'm gonna say this. My bad, because sometimes people just be like, man, I gotta go. But I like to talk, but I like to get all the information out there. I had a roommate 5 years ago. She's a very famous actress now. I was going to say, I'm not going to mention her. I'll mention her. Geraldine Viswanathan. She's like my little sister. She's my homegirl, right?
Geraldine what?
Viswanathan. She was in like Blockers. Have you heard about the movie Blockers?
Yeah.
So she has her own, she's on this show on TNT. She's like Geraldine Viswanathan. It's an Indian name. I can't even say it right.
I know. Okay. I can't even say it.
Viswanathan. I don't know how to say it. Everybody,
right.
Sorry to my Indian fans, but my point is, like, she was my roommate, and this is when she first moved to LA. This is my like my homegirl. This is my boy almost. Like, it's my homie. She was like very young, and she was going out to do like stand-up comedy. I was like, damn, why are you doing? That's kind of interesting. And then she wasn't good at it or anything, but it helped her, you know, which is like she knew it. And so I realized, like, dude, that helped, like. And then I did it. I started doing it last summer in July, and I don't think LA is the best place to start doing it. I think Long Beach, and like, cause I didn't do it in LA because that's a different world. And I live in LA, but I was like, I did it in Long Beach, and I did it in Orange County. I think like it was somewhere in like Orange County. And it's like, okay, like I did it 4 times, and it was like a drug. It was like the biggest rush I ever got. Wow. Twice I was decent, but most of the times I was trash because I don't know how to finish a punchline. And like, that's what I gotta work on. I gotta work on finishing sentences, and I gotta work on finishing.
That's hilarious. I actually have a few friends from the Bay Area too, who were stand-up comedians. They still are, and two or three, like all of them have already been on Comedy Central now. So I'm like, yay! I'm like, we all sort of made it, I guess. I'm like, cool, that's awesome, but. Yeah, but I think they're hilarious. But I'm just like, yeah, I can't do what they do. I mean, I could, but I don't really want to have the career of like.
But that's my point.
I don't want to have a career traveling stand-up. Yeah.
Yeah, but even if you suck, like, it's a freeing experience. It's so because you don't have to, like, you're an actress, so you don't have to put your pressure on that. It's like
right.
You know what I mean? It's like it's like fuck
it. Just do it for fun.
Yeah, it's real. Who gives a shit? Like it's
right.
Fun. Yeah.
And if fucking nobody laughs, then nobody laughs. It happens.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you went up there and did it. Like, that's the worst that can happen is nobody laughs. And
right, that's the worst.
Exactly.
And then
if somebody like you lived in Oakland, I'm sure a lot of worse shit has happened to you in your life. No disrespect to Oakland. Shout out to Oakland. But yeah, like, I'm just telling you, like, I'm sure worse things have happened that nobody laughed at the joke. So yeah.
Right. So that is funny, and I'm just like, you know, that is the worst thing that can happen. And I've had friends who aren't stand-up comedians, but they did it like once or twice, and they're like, yeah, the rush is great. Which I do. I haven't had that specific rush, but I've had the rush of performing live, even dancing, acting live, because I've done plays before, and like it is a whole different rush because you get that instant gratification that you don't get with filming. And I love filming, trust me, but like you don't get that from, unless you're on a sitcom with a live audience, then you do get that. So that's also something very fun.
Say somebody, and then we're gonna end this soon. I keep saying that, but like, say somebody offered you a play for $30,000 a year, 30 grand or 40 grand. Let's say 40 grand, so you can like maintain your lifestyle a year, but you can't do anything else. Well, would you do that?
I can't do any other acting jobs.
Because how can you? Because it's every night, It's
that is true, huh? Yeah. Like there's literally no like a break, summer season break or anything.
Let's say 7 months. Then you're right. So like it doesn't go for a year nonstop.
Okay, so it's like I have 3 months that I could like shoot stuff.
Yeah.
I think I would do it for some time. I would at least do it for a year and see how it goes. But if it was like now and I could only do the play for that much and nothing else, I couldn't do it.
Okay, that's honest. That's a very honest answer. I'm curious when I interview actresses and actors. I always want to know like what because it's difficult. It's a difficult game, and like you said, you have to treat your craft as a business. All you actors, you have to treat it as a business. So we'll end on that note, Deanna. And is it Deanna or Deanna?
Deanna, but some people do say Deanna, and I don't get bothered by it.
You like Deanna?
It's Deanna mostly, yeah. That's a usual. Actually, what's funny is my name was supposed to be Dina, but my parents spelled it wrong, and the doctor was like Deanna, and they were like, let's just go with Deanna. But like, I'm not kidding. That's the story.
I believe it. That's some immigrant parents.
That's some Asian shit.
Like, dude, that shit happens all the time. Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, this sounds cool. Let's just go with Deanna then.
That's hilarious. Shout out to your parents too, by the way. Like, you're a talented individual. You're a funny individual, and I like it because I love to promote. As much as I want to promote minorities, which I love promoting my people, like Asian people, like the most. I'm telling you, it's a different age. It's a different generation coming up right now, and it's a different world that's about to happen. We're about to take over the industry. So thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
If you want to promote anything just mention your Instagram and mention anything else.
Oh yeah, the basic stuff. Instagram is at Deanna Pak, DeannaPak. And the same thing for YouTube, youtube.com/Deanna Pak. All the socials are pretty much the same. Twitter, everything. I don't really use Twitter that much. I should, but everything's the same. TikTok. What I was gonna say? Oh, I'll send you guys the link to the book. You'll see it on social media soon. That's it. Yeah.
So they can get comfortable with it. So what's the title of the book? The title.
What? The title. Oh, the title of the book is How to Become a Working Actor, and the subtitle, A Guide on Getting Started, Building a Brand and Working in Hollywood. But you'll see it. Just pay attention to social media. You'll definitely see it.
Thank you so much for joining. I want to say one last thing. It's just really important to the industry. Like, you're mad cold on the DMs. Like, damn, she's not even like excited. She's not even enthusiastic. But I would say that works. I'm like, yo, to all you other actresses and actors out there, be like that, yo, because it's like, damn, I almost felt like I had to prove myself. I was like, but I did this. It's gonna be a good interview. I was like, oh my god, it's gonna be good. Like, but that's ill. I don't know if that's just your personality.
No, I was literally like, okay, sure, but like it sounded cold.
But that's dope. I'm telling you, all you guys stop, like all you actors and actresses, when you reach out to people, like I reached out to her, by the way, but I'm just saying, like, yo, like, stop sounding like that's the way you got to handle it, because it makes people intrigued. I was like, what the fuck? All right. All right. But thank you so much. I'm going to DM you, and thank you for joining us on the podcast. Deanna Paris, make some noise. All right. I'm going to DM you. Thank you. I'm going to release this soon. Appreciate you. Okay.
Okay. Have a good one.
You too.